Hi guys, how's it going? We're going to do quadratic equations, okay? Solving quadratic equations by factorization. That's what we're going to do today. And just some detail, whenever you have something, for example, x squared minus 9x plus 18, this one it's called an expression. So it's an expression, isn't it? It's not. It doesn't have any equal sign in it. So we say that this is a quadratic expression. Sometimes they'll tell you factorize this quadratic expression. It simply means factorize this expression here. But if it's an equation, it means that they'll have put in an equal sign. They'll have put in an equal sign here, and then it will be equal to something. So whenever you have an equal sign, that's an equation. Okay, so that's the difference between expression and equation. Okay, I'm going to tell you some very good way to find factors here. So most of you probably know right now that whenever you have this quadratic function where the coefficient are the numbers that the numbers in front of, so in front of x squared. So how many x squared do you have? That number, it's called the coefficient. So for x squared, it's 1 here. So whenever you just have an expression starting with x squared, which is factorizable using the normal quadratic factorization procedure, what you do is you can go ahead and put brackets like this. Okay, so this is only for where you have x squared or b squared or something like that, okay, or anything like that. If you have k squared, it's also the same thing. You can do that. If you have 2x squared, it's different, okay? Your approach is supposed to be different. Anyway, when you put these two brackets here and you put x here, you're actually looking for two factors that you can put here and here, okay? So those two factors, I want to teach you how to find them, because sometimes they can give you some math which is kind of complicated, and then you're supposed to find. So what you do is just take the product. The product for our case would be 18. Why? Because it's just simply 1, the coefficient of x squared multiplied by 18, the coefficient of x to the power 0. So it would simply be 18, this number here. So you take 18 and then you find ways to present 18 as a product of two numbers. This is how you do it. So you have 18 here, you start with multiply by 1. Then you realize you can actually divide this by 2. If you divide this by 2, you get 9. In the same breath, you also have to multiply this by 2. Whatever you divide by, you multiply by the same factor, such that if you can see here, it will be 18, here it will be 18 as well. So what you're doing there is you're playing around with these numbers, trying to find two numbers that you can use to get -9. Okay, you're going to see how that will work out. So here I can even divide this by 3. Okay, so I can divide this by 3, I get 3, and then I can multiply this by the same token in the same breath. So this one would be 6. Okay, it's 2 equal to 18. You're supposed to evaluate these two numbers and ask yourself, sometimes they go on, okay, so you are supposed to be a bit strategic with that, especially where the factors, where they are products, there are so many. I'll teach you, with more questions to come, so you'll be able to get clarity on that. But essentially, you need two numbers that give you a product of 18 here, and that also give you a sum of -9. So the numbers that you can use, you can't get it from 18 and 1, you can't get it from 9 and 2, you can only get it from 3 and 6. And then your expression would be -3, -6. -3 minus 6, you get -9. So this is why these two factors are the factors that you want to have. So you just guess, in this case, it'd be -3 minus 6 like this. And then you would one bracket, so the first bracket can either be 0. For this expression to be 0, these multipliers, they have to be 0. So this bracket has to be 0, or the next bracket has to be 0, or both. Okay, so here we can transpose this to go there, so it'd be 3, or this one to go there, it'd be what? It'd be 6. Okay, so you say x equals to 3 or 6. Done, like this. Okay, so the tricky part is finding these factors here, and as we go, you're going to become very proficient at actually doing this in a fast way. So for this case, you say x again, x. You know that this is factorizable, and we also know that the coefficient of x squared here is simply 1. You have your factor is 4, so we start with 4 by 1, okay, equal to 4, okay, so 4 by 1, this is what we're starting with. We are taking this number, which is the product, we're just multiplying by 1. If I would go on, because this one 4 and 1 actually gives you 5, so these are your factors. But then if we didn't have factors, what you'd have to do is you can divide 4 by 2, then you get 2. Then you multiply in the same breath this one by 2, then you get 2 again. It will also preserve the number 4. You're just looking for factors that you can use here. As long as they're all numbers, then you're good. So for our case, we're supposed to take 4 and 1. So it's simply plus 4 plus 1. So x plus 4 equal to 0, or x plus 1 equal to 0. So x equal to negative 4 or negative 1 here. Okay, that's it. Let's quickly move forward to the next question. Next question, you have this one is called difference of two squares. Okay, so this is difference of two squares. We're just doing it, but we are supposed to be solving quadratic essentially. This was also quadratic, but that's not usually what people mean when they say this. The other one that we just did, that one is the most common one, which is the trickier one of all this. This one is called difference of two squares. You identify it by the number here would be a square, and the number here would be a square. Sometimes you have to create some of those things. So for example, if you're given n 2n squared minus 128 equal to 0, these ones, they're not squares, but then you can create difference of two squares from here by you're supposed to analyze and say, is there any factor, before I even do anything, is there any factor between this and this? In our case, it'd be 2. So you'd get 2n squared minus 64. This one is difference of two squares now, and you can factorize accordingly. But essentially, if you have difference of two squares, you just put your brackets here, and it's equal to 0. So you put the first square root. So square root of n squared is simply n. So you put here, you put here. Then for this one, the square root is 8. So it should be plus 8. And then the other side, you put minus 8. When you're revising this, you just try to expand this and see if you can get the way you started from. Okay, then it'll be easy for you. But essentially, this is how you do it. And since you're supposed to solve the equation, you would also go to this part where you say n plus 8 equal to 0, or n minus 8 equal to 0. So you get n equal to negative 8 or positive 8 or 8. Okay, so n equal to plus or minus 8. You can write it like this, it's still allowed. The other alternative that you could do is to say n squared equal to, then you transpose this one to the side. So it actually becomes n squared equal to 64. But then this is risky in that, so you take square roots of both sides. I'll show you the risk. 64. So this is risky in that n is equal to square root of 64. When you're doing quadratics especially, you have to remember or recall that it's actually plus or minus whatever square root for the magnitude here. So it'd be plus or minus 8. Okay, so you actually have to keep in mind this one. So for this one, b squared, if this one is easier for you, since it's consistent with what we were doing previously, then that's good. If you're really fast, then it's always good to have those tools as well in your toolbox. Okay, so this one, the first thing that you investigate is there a common factor before I even do anything. So it's obviously the common factor is b here. So b into b squared, you get b into 5b, you get 5 equal to 0. So this one, the multipliers, there must be 0. Okay, or b plus 5, the multipliers, there must be 0. So b equals 0 or minus 5. Okay, then that's it. Let's move to the next question. Yeah, so these ones they are interesting. The way that we deal with these ones, it's similar to the way that we were dealing with the first two questions. So you actually have to find factors, but then instead of doing this and then putting n here, it's not valid. Okay, you don't do that. Why? Because this is different. our square, this one, our square term, it actually has a coefficient now. If it is a coefficient which is not 1, then you actually have to change your strategy. So here, our product, you can pause the video and then investigate the product. The product, it's simply 15 plus 4. I advise you to ignore the signs at first, okay? You're just thinking to yourself, just seeing the numbers. Can I work with 15 and 4 to get 4? Obviously, it's impossible, okay? So you have to adjust. Here you can adjust by 5 or you can adjust by 3. So let's adjust by 3 first. So this one divided by 3, you get 5. So we divide this one by 3, so we're going to multiply this one by 3. So you get 12. Okay, this is still getting you 60, this is still getting you 60. You're just changing factors. 12 and 5, you cannot use them to get 4. So you have to keep going. Now we can divide this one this time. So you can divide any value that you want, as long as you multiply the other by the same factor. So this one, let's divide it by 2. So divide this one by 2, you get 6. Multiply this one by the same factor and the same breadth. So this one you get 10. So now we have 10 and 6. They're also equal to 60. Now we want to use any of these two, of these numbers such that would get 15 by 4 is a product. So these ones, they'll all fit. And then they have to give you a negative product as well, because here there is negative. And you want to get 4. If you want to get 4, then it has to be 10 minus 6. That's simple. Okay. So we identify the factors. They have to be this, and then you have to adjust now to think, how can I get 4 from the factors? Okay, so 10 minus 6, you get negative, you get 4 here. 10 times minus 6, you get negative 60, which is the product anyway. So what you do here is we have to go and replace, just like what you did the last time. So instead of 4b, we are going to write 10b minus 6b. 10b minus 6b is simply 4b. So you didn't change anything there. You didn't change anything. So here we factor out what's the highest common factor for this two. So you can think of highest common factor for 10 and 15. It's obviously 5. And highest common factor for this b part, it's obviously b. So here you'd get 3b. Okay, 5 into 15, you get 3. Then b into b squared, you get b. Okay. Then plus, here you get 2. Simply 2. So here you can factor out, this time we're going to factor out 2, that's the highest common factor. We are factoring it out as negative. Why? Because we want to create a positive bracket, which is the same as this one. So here you get 3b plus 2, so equal to 0. This math, they make for good marks, because if you can't match the brackets, then you actually know that you made a mistake previously or something. Then you can investigate your mistake. So here you'd get 5b minus 2, then you get 3b plus 2, then you get equal to 0, then you get 5b equal to 5b minus 2 equal to 0, or 3b plus 2 equal to 0. You can write here b is equal to, you put this one there, so it becomes 5b equal to 2. You divide both sides by 5, so 5b equal to 2 over 5. Or here it'd be negative 2 over 3. Okay, if you are having a hard time understanding it, then you actually have to write the steps. But then if you are consistent and you constantly work out questions on quadratic equations, then it'd be easier for you to skip some of the steps, since they don't give you any marks. Okay, and then it will make you faster somehow. So let's quickly move over to the next question. Okay, so this one, and then we need a product, obviously, of 7 by, we need the product is 7, let me use the side here. So the product is 7 by 24. Okay, there's a negative, but then we say that we will ignore the negative for now. What you need to do is, how can we create 2 factors which would give you 38? Okay, so 24 and 7, there's no way we can get 38, so we actually have to rethink. So this one, we can divide this one by 2, so you get 12. Multiply this one by 2, then you get 14. Okay, so I divided by 2 this one, I multiply the other by the same factor. So I divided this one by 2, I multiply this one by 2. Whatever you do on the left, you should do also on the right. So here you have 12 and 14. 12 and 14, there's no way you can use them to get 38 here. So it's still a failed case. We have to go move over again. So we're going to divide this one by 2 again. We're going to multiply this one by 2. It doesn't have to be 2, it can be any number, okay, as long as you preserve the product. So this one would be 6. This one would be 28. Okay, so 6 by 28. Is there any way we can get 38? Obviously no. So we have to rethink again, okay. So we have to rethink our factors. So we have to continue. So 28 and 6, there's no way we can get negative 38. Okay, so we have to continue. So this one we're going to divide it. This time we're going to divide by 2. So if we divide this one by 2, we get 3, and then if we multiply this one by 2, we get 56. Okay, so this one we are actually spreading out. This one won't give us any answer in any way. Okay, so let's divide this one by 7 this time. So let's divide this one by 7, you get 8. And let's multiply in the same breath this one by 7, you get 21. Okay, so 8 and 21, there's no way you can get the factors. So we have to keep going again. Let's divide this one. Let's try divide this one by, let's try divide this one this time, 8. Maybe we can divide 8 by 2. Then we get 4 here. Then we multiply this one by 2. Then you get 42 here. So 42 and 4, we can actually use these ones to get negative 38. So it'd be 4 minus 42. Then you check, is it checking out for the product? Product is negative. So obviously these are the factors. And then it would also give you what you want there. So you get this one, and then we're going to replace this one by plus 4p minus 42p minus 24 like this equal to 0. Then here you'd factorize. Highest common factor, it's for this fixed 2, it's simply p. Then you get 7p plus 4. Then minus, then this one, it's highest common factor, it's negative 6. Okay, then a negative 6 into this, you get 7p plus 4 like this, and then equal to 0. Then you get p minus 6. Now I'm combining these coefficients into one bracket, and also these ones into another bracket. So p equals, alright, so you can say p minus 6 equal to 0, or 7p plus 4 equal to 0. So p equals 6 or 7p equals negative 4. So p equals 6 or negative 4 over 7 like this. Okay, so this one was very tricky, but it was also very educative. So you can play around with these and figure out which two values. So here the trick was to get 38, you actually needed to spread out a little bit. That's why we kept on. There's all of these there, they're unique, so we didn't repeat any of the two products. But then we eventually arrived to the desired product, which was 42 and 4. Okay, so that's how you find factors. Let's do it for this one. You can actually pause the video and then try to do it yourself. So for this one, it'd be 3 by 49. We need to create 14. Okay, so let's play around with our factors. Here, this one, it's obviously big, so we can crunch this number here by dividing by 7. So you get 7 here, and then here you'd get, we're dividing by 7 here, we have to multiply by the same factor. So this one will be 21. Okay, so 7 and 21, they would give you that. How would they give you 14? It's 21 minus 7, and this works out. Okay, so you can actually say if we multiply them, obviously it get negative, and then simply 21 minus 7, you get 14. So that's good. So you get 3x squared plus, now we are replacing this one, 21 x minus 7x minus 49. Okay, so this one, the highest common factor is 3x, then you get x plus 7 here, then you get minus, highest common factor is 7, then you get x plus 7 here equal to 0. Okay, now we're solving the fraction, the equation. Okay, so you have to combine these ones first, and then combine these ones. And then afterwards you say 3x minus 7 equal to 0, or x plus 7 equal to 0. So you get 3x equal to 7, or x equal to negative 7, like this. So x equal to 7 over 3, or 7. Done. Okay, so this one was a bit easier, actually faked out, and then you get k squared minus 6k minus 7. Now you just have to figure out what two numbers do I have to. So you start with 7 by 1. Yeah, I can use this to get negative 6. How? Minus 7 plus 1. Quickly, okay. So you'd say 3, then you say k here, then you say k here equal to 0. Then you want negative 7 for the factors and plus 1. Okay, so you get k minus 7 equal to 0. Let me actually write in a proper way here. So k minus 7 equal to 0, or k plus 1 equal to 0. So you get k equal to 7, or k equal to negative 1, like this. Okay, it's the same thing as we did previously, but then the factors that were easier to find just because we had factorized already at first. So last question, it's also the same thing. 6 is a factor, so you can factor out 6 and then get k squared minus 6 into this, you get 7k. Then 6 into this, I think you get 12. So 6 into 7, you get 1, and then remainder 1. Then 6 into 12, you get into 12, you get 2. Okay. So now you're dealing with 12. So you're dealing with this expression here, k squared minus 7k plus 12. This is what you want to factorize. Okay, so if you want to factorize this, again, you have to come from a place of 12 by 1 and figure out two numbers that you can multiply to get this, and then that you can add to get negative 7. So here I can divide this one by 2. It becomes 6 times. I can multiply this one by 2 in the same breath, so it becomes 6 by 2. But then 6 by 2, I cannot use it to get negative 7. Okay, so I actually have to adjust my number again. So here I can divide this one by 2 to get 3. Here I can multiply in the same breath this one by 2, then you get 4. Remember, I'm preserving the product here. Its product is not changing. So the way that we don't change product is if we divide one part by a certain factor, you should multiply the another part by the same factor. Okay, so you get this. So your two numbers are actually negative 3, negative 4, because negative 3, negative 4, you get negative 7 here. Okay, so you get 6, then you say k here, and then you have negative 3, negative 4. The reason we can put these brackets directly is that here the brackets, the coefficient of k squared is simply 1. There's nothing written here, so that's why we feel comfortable to do this. Okay, so you can say k minus 3 equal to 0, or k minus 4 equal to 0. So you get k equal to 3 or 4. Okay, and the interesting thing is, if you put any of these values here, that's the interesting thing about quadratic equations. So if you put, for example, if I take 3 here, I can say left hand side. Okay, this is how you verify you've done everything. You've done your work, you're done, and then you're just revising. This is how you do it. So left hand side is equal to 6. Then on k, just put the value that you got. So kx squared minus 42, k, which is 3 of our case, plus 72. Then you figure out what you get. Okay, so you go on your calculator, you punch 3 squared minus 42, k, which is 3, plus 72. So you get 0 actually, which is equal to right hand side. Okay, so you say verified. If you're just doing it on a piece of paper, you're done. Don't revise after doing it immediately. Just go through your paper, go through your paper, and then you just come back and then revise some of these things. Okay, so that's it.